Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my labor and delivery story. He just woke up from a nap. He's in his little Christmas pajamas. Yeah, so anyways, let's get right into this video. Missing someone. So basically, I'm going to start off at my 40-week doctor appointment because at the very end of your pregnancy, you start going to the doctor every week. So you're only supposed to be pregnant for 40 weeks. That's like the full term. And so here I was, 40 weeks, very pregnant. My doctor, just basic things out of doctors, they weigh you, check the heartbeat, just go over some things, just things like that. So that's what he did, and he was also checking if I was dilated any. I think I was dilated, I think it was like 1 centimeter, maybe 1.5, I don't remember. To give birth, obviously, you have to be at a 10 when you start pushing. So he was basically telling me if you don't go into labor tonight, then I will call you and we will set up a time for you to be induced. So he called me at around 7 o'clock that night, and I think that was a Thursday or Friday. If you guys hear Asher in the back, I'm sorry. And they told me you're gonna be induced on the 13th, May 13th, which was Mother's Day, and I had to be there by 6 o'clock that night. So my parents and family took separate cars than me and my boyfriend because we wanted to stop and get food first. Because once you're in labor, you typically don't eat. You're not supposed to. We went to the doctor, and they were just going over things with me. We were getting paperwork done, just things like that, asking me just like questions, you know, just normal things. I'm sorry about that in the back. They gave me that night a thing called Cervidil, and that is supposed to, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember everything, but I'm pretty sure that's what made me, like, was supposed to make me start dilating. And then I think it was like 5 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, I want to say, of May 14th, they gave me Pitocin. And if you don't know what Pitocin is, that is basically medicine that starts the labor process, like puts you into labor. And so I started having contractions, nothing too bad. And so I went to walk around like the little lobby thingy, just to help me dilate more, because that helps you dilate. So that's what I did, and I was like talking to everyone, and I was like, this isn't that bad. I think I might be able to do this without an epidural. Sure enough, my doctor came in. My water didn't break, so he had to break it on his own. And after that is when it got bad, okay? My contractions hurt so incredibly bad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need an epidural. I need it here fast. It took like an hour for the guy to come and do my epidural, and when my contractions were going, like, because you know, like, they're on and off, they last about a minute. And so when the epidural guy came, everyone had to leave the room, except, well, my mom and boyfriend were in there, but everyone else had to leave the room. And what they do is they have like a really, really big needle that they put in your spine, and what this happens is, like, you cannot move when they're doing the epidural, because if you move, it can paralyze you and all kinds of things. I was so scared, and it's hard not to move when you're having a contraction. It's very painful, and they have to do it when you're having a contraction. Luckily for me, I wasn't paralyzed or anything. Very lucky about that. They gave me the epidural. It just felt like a bee sting. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all, when the doctor broke my water, before he broke my water, he was talking to me. He said, if your water, the fluid is like greenish or brownish or anything like that, then your baby may have had meconium aspiration. If you don't know what that is, that's just like when they pretty much inhale their poop. They had their first poop in the womb and they inhale it. Really disgusting, I know. And so I was like, okay, and then it happened, and he was like, it's fine, like, it should be fine. There's gonna be NICU nurses in here just to make sure everything goes smoothly. Pretty much reassuring me that everything was gonna be okay. I was like at a 5, I believe, the last time they checked me, and then like an hour later I was at a 9. And I'm really sorry, guys. He likes to be vocal. But yeah, and so then like 30 minutes later they came back in, and I was at a 10, so of course everybody had to leave the room. And at this point I was just kind of crying because I was scared, I was nervous, and I didn't know what to expect or what to feel, because just because I had the epidural, doesn't mean I couldn't feel anything. Like, I could still feel pressure. So I was pushing, and I pushed for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, and he came out. So I didn't push for very long. Luckily, I didn't want to be those people that like pushed for like 4 hours before their baby came out. Like, I was very scared of that. But yeah, and so he came out. And basically, NICU nurses were in there. You know, I felt him come out, obviously. It didn't hurt. Oh, the NICU nurses were there. And they pretty much took him to the NICU side. Like, there's like a side, and like the NICU nurses were in like, yeah, so they were on the NICU side, and he was over there. I didn't get to hold him yet. They were like pretty much trying to make sure he was breathing and all those kinds of things, like checking his lungs. And he was having a hard time breathing. I could see, like, I looked over while the doctor was trying to deliver my placenta. I looked over and I saw that his stomach was like retracting because he couldn't breathe very good. So, you know, at this point I'm crying, I'm very scared, I haven't even held my baby. It was really hard. So they brought him over there. Pretty much the nurse sat him on my chest and picked him right back up. I held him for maybe a second. And I was very like sad, because you know, when you're pregnant, or even when you're not pregnant, you watch like labor and delivery vlogs, and you get excited for the time that you get to do like skin to skin with your baby. I was most excited for that, and I didn't get to. They took him, hey. They took him straight to like the NICU like part where babies go when they have to be in the NICU. And he was put on oxygen, and it wasn't just like oxygen, it was a CPAP machine. You guys probably might not know what that is. It's just like a really heavy oxygen type thing. It's like humidifier too. So yeah, and it was really hard to watch all of this happen, because honestly, they told me like it's be fine. He'll be there tonight. I'm sure he'll be back in the morning. And that was not the case. He had been there for a while, and we were there. And when you're in the hospital, when you give birth, you are there for like 3 days, like 2 days after you give birth. And so I was like, they were telling me he'll be home, or he'll be coming home with you when you come home. So that gave me some reassurance. I was like, okay. And he wasn't able to like breastfeed like actually on my breast. I had to pump to get my milk supply, and I would bring it down to the NICU place. Like, I would do that every day, because he was exclusively breastfed. And so that's what I had to do. It was really hard to do that, because it's just hard to it's hard to produce milk when your baby's not with you. That's just how it is. That's just how your body works. And yeah, so they were pretty much telling me that he was gonna go home when I went home. Sorry, my dog's crazy. And then when I was getting ready to leave the hospital, they were like, he can't leave yet. He is not better. So they were like, we give it maybe a week. And I was like, okay, like still really like sad. Like when I came home, I was crying that night. Like I wanted my baby to be home, obviously, like everybody would. And it was just like a really, really emotional time for everyone. Yeah. And so it's just a process. Like I would get up in the night and I would still pump, and I would put it in like a little bag, and I would bring it to the hospital every single day. I came up there every single day in the mornings and would stay up there for like a long, long time, every single day. And they just kept pushing the date back for when he was gonna leave. And the morning before I came to the hospital, I got a phone call from the doctor that works in the NICU area telling me basically that he was being moved to a different hospital that specializes in these kinds of things. And that scares me, because they aren't moved there unless they need it, you know. So he was moved there, and it was downtown. I would still go every single day, and it was pretty much the same thing. He was on oxygen, and I was still doing the breastfeeding and pumping thing, except there I could stay the night. So I would do that, and basically I would have visitors, but no one under 18 could come in there. So basically my friends couldn't see him. My friends didn't see him until he got home, and he was in the hospital for a month. So he came home on his 1 month like birthday. And yeah, so they started doing room air trials, which is like they would take the oxygen off, and they obviously have him hooked up to a screen, and they would see how he does. And he just never, like, he could not be off for more than like 2 hours, I believe. So that was really disheartening. You know, all I wanted was for him to come home. Yeah, so after that, they were like, okay, well, there's no reason for him to be here. All he needs is like that little bit of oxygen, because at this point, like towards the end of his stay at the second hospital, he was like on barely any oxygen, but it was so hard for him to like come over it. So they sent us home with oxygen, and he was on that for about, see, we came home on June 14th, and he got off of it the day after 4th of July, so July 5th. And then he was good to go, went to the doctors on July 13th, and they were like, he's good. His lungs, I don't hear anything in his lungs anymore, like he's good now. And that was just amazing, because it's hard to go out with him, because we had like a little, like almost like our own screen to see how his oxygen was doing, and then we had the whole oxygen tank and plus the little thing that goes in his nose. And it was just hard to like load everything up and do things like that. And you know, I was just scared. I was like, it's hot outside, is that gonna affect his breathing? Like, you know, I was just, obviously I was very overprotective about it. But yeah, so he was in total in the hospital for a month and came home on oxygen for just a couple weeks. But he is all healthy now, and he is 6 months old, almost 7 in a few days. And he is just a happy baby. He's a very good baby. I'm very lucky for that. I love him so incredibly much. And yeah, make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we will post a new video very soon. Can you say bye? He's like, no, I'm drinking out of my sippy cup because I'm a big boy now. Say bye. Bye, guys.